The Gabby Petito story. Just how and when did Gabby die? Well, we'll be focusing on this question in this episode of Charlie Crime Buster, the fastest moving podcast in crime talk. Hello and welcome to the show today. This is Charlie Crime Buster, and let me encourage you, if you have not yet, please follow us on all of our social media posts. That's Facebook, of course, and all the other places, Twitter. You'll find us there. And we hope that you've subscribed by now and that you're a part of the Crime Buster family. We would love to invite you to do so if you haven't already. Go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to Charlie Crime Buster. If you have a platform and you don't see Charlie Crime Buster on that platform, please get a hold of us. CharlieCrimeBuster@gmail.com. That's CharlieCrimeBuster@gmail.com. All right, back to our focus today. Now, the past several weeks, there was a great focus on finding Brian Laundrie. Where was he? Where did he go? Is he on the run? Well, such focus even brought Dog the Bounty Hunter and the famous John Walsh into the story. Then bombshell. Brian was found not far from the environmental park that extended to the reserve of Carlton, Florida. And then the focus, well, it went back to where it probably rightly should be, the innocent victim of the story of Gabby Petito, whose body was found in the Teton National Park area. Well, so many have been wondering now, how and when did she die? Now, the authorities told us it was by homicide and strangulation, but how and when? Well, I'm going to give you the answer to that question based on my own work as a law enforcement officer and security specialist. So we're going to do that right after we share with you our courageous citizen story of the week. Well, early in the morning of August the 31st, a couple at a bus stop at the Capitol Hill area of Seattle, Washington, they were approached by two armed men who attempted to hold them up at gunpoint. Well, this couple also was armed, and one of them shot one of the would-be robbers, a 24-year-old man, in the stomach. Witnesses said the second suspect fled the scene in an F-150 pickup, which law enforcement authorities were still seeking. The wounded man was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. So our courageous hero of the week, well, it's this couple who took it into their own hands to protect themselves from deadly force. They used their weapons, and good people with a gun stopped bad people with a gun. That, my friend, is our courageous citizen of the week. Now, our focus today is on the Gabby Petito story. Just how and when did she die? The story begins with her and her fiancé/boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. They were going on a cross-country road trip that was scheduled to last for at least 4 months. They were to travel across the western United States, visiting state and national parks and other areas of great interest. And they were going to do something else. They were going to document it on social media. You see, Gabby had ambition to be what is called today a social influencer. And she already had several 100,000 people who have liked or responded to her post. So on July the 2nd of this year, Gabby and Brian left New York en route on their exciting journey. And as they stopped along the way, they would post beautiful posts. And these posts would reveal two young people who appeared to be full of life and full of love. In fact, 22-year-old Gabby, she was described as, quote, a free-spirited mind and always happy. That's what her relatives said about her. You would see them on top of a mountain, splashing in the sea, smiles and kisses. All appeared to be good in their traveling van that was a converted camper. That was until August the 12th. That is when the 911 call came into dispatchers. and then they were stopped by police in Moab, Utah. That's where a 911 caller alerted police to a possible domestic violence call. And then cops encountered Gabby, crying uncontrollably. That's what the cops said in their report. And they also went on to say that she said they had been having, quote, little arguments that day. Now, on their body cams, they recorded quite a different look at this fairy tale love trip of two young people in love, who appeared to be without a care in the world. But my friend, according to this traffic stop, there was trouble in paradise. There was an altercation. There were marks of domestic violence left on bodies. And for 1 hour and 17 minutes, cops attempted to investigate who said and what said, who did and what did at this incident of domestic violence. Now, dealing with domestic violence is one of the most difficult things cops face on a daily basis. It is also one of the most dangerous calls that cops respond to. Good police officers have been killed responding to domestic violence calls. And in most domestic violence calls, cops have limited information to base their decisions on. Sometimes, strike that, most times, they do not hear the truth about what happened. And visible signs of injury, well, they can be tricky to interpret. And the emotional pain, well, the emotional pain is often not visible at all. So these cops did what they thought best. They separated the couple for the night. They encouraged them to get space between them. And one of the officers even asked Gabby to consider if the relationship was healthy for her. It was handled according to their protocol as they saw it. And then it was over. And there was another call and another report, and they would respond to different calls thereafter. Only, my friend, this call stayed with him. And after Gabby was reported missing by her parents, well, the video of the traffic stop was released, and the whole world watched a tearful Gabby by the side of the road in Moab, Utah, and took time to analyze, review, and comment on the actions of that stop. Now, after the stop, in and around the 17th of August, Brian got on an airplane and flew back to his parents' home, where he and Gabby had lived in Northport, Florida. He flew from Salt Lake City to Tampa, Florida. He returned on and about the 23rd of August. His lawyer said that the reason of his trip was to clean out a storage shed and to get supplies because they had decided to extend their cross-country trip. Now, many, my friend, including yours truly, well, we question this reason for the trip that Laundrie flew home and then flew back. So then it was September the 1st. September the 1st, Brian Laundrie comes again to his home in Newport, Florida. But this time, he does not fly home. He drives the van, the converted camper, and returns home. Now get this, without Gabby. And then on September the 11th, Gabby's parents report her missing to New York police. And days later, well, Brian Laundrie as well, goes missing. Now, in order to find out how and when Gabby died, we need to go back to that time when he flew back to Salt Lake City, and the days that followed prior to him driving back to Florida. You see, this will narrow the timeline. It will give us insight into how and why and when she died. We now know that she was alive and with Brian on August the 24th. You see there, they both were seen checking out of a Salt Lake City motel. It appears that Gabby was staying in the hotel while Brian was on the trip back home to Tampa. We do know that she was there on the 21st because her father had ordered food for her on a motel room service charge. He did that through his phone. So on the 24th, they were both seen checking out of the motel. Now get this was just 3 days before Gabby was last seen. These days are the most crucial in understanding how and when Gabby died. And this will give us some insight on how and when she died. Now, due to the seriousness of today's episode, well, my friend, we're not going to take time to do our Crazy Crook story. We usually take the time to share with you a Crazy Crook story. But in honor of this beautiful woman, in honor of this young lady who lost her life, we're going to skip the Crazy Crook story. So on August the 27th, we now have the infamous restaurant scene. You see, according to Desert News, a manager of a Wyoming restaurant said that she saw a commotion between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. That was back in August, just days before Petito's last known appearance. On August the 27th, the manager of the Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming, well, she said that she saw an incident at the restaurant with a couple. Now, she did not describe what happened during the incident. That's according to CNN. She said there's no video footage of the incident either. But she said, yes, we can confirm that Gabby and Brian were in Mary Piglet's. We have already notified the FBI, she went on to say, and they are aware. We're letting them do their jobs. We're respecting Gabby's family and have nothing further to comment. That's what the restaurant said in an Instagram post. But, however, there are two residents, Nina Angelo and her boyfriend, Matt England. Well, they say that they saw the commotion between Petito and Laundrie at the same restaurant. This was according to CNN. So what happened at the Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex restaurant? Well, Angelo told Fox News that Laundrie argued with the waitress at the restaurant. She said that Laundrie had an aggressive body language and might have been arguing about the bill or money. She went on to say that Laundrie left and returned to the restaurant, now get this, 4 times. And there are other witnesses. Other witnesses say they saw a tearful Gabby apologizing for her boyfriend's rude and aggressive behavior. This happened, according to witnesses, on August 27th. August the 27th, the last day that Gabby was seen in public. Hours later, the couple said that they spotted Petito and Laundrie's van at a campsite that was over on the north side of town. So we know that Gabby was alive on the 27th of August. We also know something else about the 27th of August. Jessica Schultz, a 38-year-old graphic designer, she urged the FBI to search for Gabby at the Spread Creek campsite. And that, my friend, is revealing more about what led her to call this in to the authorities. She said in a released TikTok video that the publicity surrounding the then missing Long Island native, well, it prompted her to come forward with what she saw. She called law enforcement on September the 16th. Gabby's remains, well, they were discovered on September the 19th. You see, Jessica had been living in her Airstream, well, for a few years, and so she seems to understand this van life and this camping protocol. She said that she and a group of her friends, well, they were at the Spread Creek campsite in Grand Teton. They were there from August the 22nd to August the 29th. And she recalls seeing Brian and the white 2012 Ford Transit van. She recalls seeing it, now get this, on August the 26th, August the 27th, and possibly the 28th. She goes on to say, quote, so I saw Brian Laundrie parking his van August the 26th at Spread Creek. That's what she said. And she added that she wasn't 100% sure, but now that there is dash cam footage of the van where I saw it, she said, I'm 100% certain that I did see him parking his van. By the way, this was the report, among the reports that led authorities to the area where Gabby's body was found back on September the 19th. Then, on August 27th, well, there was an unusual text sent to Gabby's mom. The text read this, can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls. Well, the unusual part of this text, well, it was the name Stan. You see, Stan, that was the name of Gabby's grandfather. Only thing, well, Gabby never referred to her grandfather by the name of Stan. Hey, keep that in mind. Then on August the 29th, a really unusual item appeared on the timeline. Miranda Baker. Miranda Baker, she said that Laundrie claimed to be hitchhiking and wanted a ride to an area called Jackson Hole that evening. So I said, quote, hop in. And he hopped in the back of my Jeep, and we proceeded to make small talk. But before he came in the car, well, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride for like 10 miles. Well, she added that Brian did mention that his fiancée, Gabby, said, well, he's been camping for multiple days without his fiancée. He went on to say that he had a fiancée and that she was working on their social media page back at their van. Miranda also, she noted in her videos that it was suspicious. You see, Laundrie did not have a full backpack with him. He told the couple he'd been sleeping on a tarp. She went on to say, quote, you think if you're going camping for days on end, you'd want food and a tent, and he had none of that. That's what Miranda said in her video. You see, the strange thing about their interaction, well, it was over, and the intended destination. You see, once in the conversation I brought up we're going to Jackson, well, he freaked out. He said, nope, I need to get out right now. Pull over. That's what Miranda said at Laundrie's request. She and her boyfriend pulled over at the Jackson Dam. Now, she went on to say that we dropped him off around 6:09 p.m. on August 29th. He kind of hurried out of the car and then was like, I'm going to find someone else to go hitchhike. She also added, now get this, he looked clean, he didn't smell bad, which also struck her as a little odd for someone without much camping supplies, who had been out in the elements for days on end. He was wearing a backpack, long-sleeve shirt, pants, and hiking boots. Then, my friend, get this. A second woman emerged to claim that she, too, picked up Brian Laundrie while he was hitchhiking in Wyoming last month and left him at the campground where his girlfriend, Gabby Petito's, body was eventually found. This is a young lady by the name of Norma Jean. She said that she came across Laundrie, who's 23 years of age, of course. She ran across him on August 29th near the Pacific Creek Landing. That was the same day that Miranda Baker said she ran across him in the Grand Teton National Park. Norma Jean went on to say that the now wanted man, well, that he had got into the front seat of her Toyota 4Runner at about 6:15 p.m. As you see, that's roughly about 5 minutes after Baker said he abruptly got out of her Jeep after becoming agitated in the nearby area of Jackson Dam. In Baker's SUV, Laundrie's mood changed when he mentioned that she and her boyfriend was headed to Jackson Hole. Well, according to Norma Jean, Laundrie asked if she was heading to the same destination. And then she claims that she picked him up after 6:30. She went on to say to Fox News that she was visiting a Roman Catholic church called the Chapel of the Sacred Heart. That was in Grand Teton National Park. She was there that day for a service when she saw Laundrie walking the road with his thumb out. Now, the church is located about 1.2 miles from where Baker said she let Laundrie out of her vehicle. She went on to say that she collaborated everything and she talked to the FBI. She went on to recall making small talk with Laundrie during the drive. She said he told her that he had a fiancée. She said he also offered her money, which she refused. Baker said Laundrie nevertheless gave her and her boyfriend, get this, $200 for the ride. Norma Jean told the outlet that Laundrie asked her to drop him off at the gate of the campground. She offered to drive him inside, but she noted that when she made this offer, well, Laundrie attempted to get out of the moving car. She went on to say, I can't explain why I was there. She said it was something I don't typically do. I don't pick up hitchhikers in Florida where I live. She said, I've gotten a lot of stuff from families and friends about picking up hitchhikers. Now, these two hitchhiking incidents are very, very important in our inquiry and to when and how Gabby died. I'm going to tie that in just a moment. So are you ready? Well, here we go. Here's what I believe happened. Gabby died as a result of domestic violence. You see, the signs were all there. Brian was physical with Gabby, far longer than some people realize. You see, if you will get physical in a public place before others like he did when he was seen slapping and hitting Gabby in Obed, Utah, well, you can be pretty well assured that that wasn't the first time. And then the public outburst in a restaurant on the 27th. My friend, this was a man out of control. You see, I believe that the restaurant episode was the breaking point for Gabby. Her best friend had reported that Brian was controlling and jealous. He had all the signs of an abusive domestic partner. You see, when Brian left on the 17th, I do not believe it was just to clean out the storage and save money and procure supplies. Let me ask you, how do you save money by purchasing a plane ticket? Just to clean out a storage bin? Well, he could have had his parents help with that. And procure supplies? When's the last time you flew on an airplane? Just how many supplies could you bring back on an airplane? Well, you'd be better off to purchase supplies with the money you would save from flying back with them. You see, I believe that trip back home was a time out in their relationship. The cycle I had previously told you about, the tension, the episode, the honeymoon. Well, only with time that tension intensifies. The episodes get more violent, and the honeymoon is far shorter. Perhaps they were giving it some time, and that's why Brian flew back. Then the honeymoon stage hit them, and they made up over the phone, and Brian flies back to Utah. You say, well, none of the family says that was what happened. Well, sometimes, my friend, the family are the very last people that domestic abuse people share their secrets with. And so the fact that the family did not know about the separation, well, that's no new news. That's especially when it comes to domestic violence. Whichever, we know that Brian does return to Utah. And the honeymoon is shortened. He has an episode in front of others embarrassing Gabby. And this registers with her. She knows that she's just fine without Brian, because when he flew home to Florida, in fact, she was able to work on her project without his complaining and whiny attitude. And now, when he returns, well, he's just back at his old ways. You see, she probably had enough, and she probably told him so when they returned to the area they were to camp for the evening. You see, he's already enraged from the restaurant episode. Besides, get this, if she apologized for his behavior, not only was she not supporting him, she was supporting others. Can you imagine how enraged this made him? They began to fight. He reached out to take her face and neck in his hands. Now quickly, back to the traffic stop. You see, when Gabby was talking to one of the officers in Moab, Utah, he asked her about a mark on her face, her cheek. She said that Brian had grabbed her face in his hands after she had hit him. Did you get that? Grabbed her face in his hands. My friend, this is not the action of someone defending himself, as he told the Moab cops. This is close and personal. Close and personal. Just like, you got it, just like strangulation by throttling. And in the heat of the moment, back at the campsite at Swift Creek, in the van that they had converted into a camper, he lost control. He was up close and personal again, only this time he did not stop until she was not breathing. He choked the life from her, there in the van, by the side of the road, in Swift Creek Campground. Well, now he has to react to his own actions. What about her phone? What can he do about it? She talked with her family nearly every day. He had to get time to make his plans or to react. So he sends a text back to her mom, so that her mom would not wonder why she was not hearing from her daughter. He makes up a text about her grandfather. He did not know if she called him Grandpa or Granddad or Pops, so he settles on the name Stan. Maybe unknown to him that she never referred to her grandfather by the name of Stan. So the ominous text was sent. Quote, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." And then later on, a second text, another unusual one. It said, "In Yosemite, no service." Both of those texts, I believe, was from Brian to throw off her mother. Well, now at some point, more likely in the dark of the night, he takes her body out of the van and places it near the creek where she was found. Now he's in a mess. You see, people know that he was with her, so he has to place distance between him and her. So he begins to make up an alibi. He tries his story out with two people that picked him up hitchhiking. You see, remember, he told them he had been camping and hiking while his fiancée was working on her website, social media. That would give time for someone else to kill her. He was away camping, hiking. She was by herself in the van. He even, now get this, he even offers them money so that they would remember him. You see, you would not forget someone offering you $250 for a short few minutes ride, now would you? You see, he wanted to be remembered. He wanted to be remembered out camping on his own, away from Gabby, where he could claim someone else killed her. You see, this also reinforces the reason for his suspicious behavior that both of the ladies that picked him up hitchhiking had reported. And while he was in the car, well, he began to think about that van. He knew if authorities had the van, well, they would soon be able to find the body. So he had to get back to the van, and he had to move it. He needs time to build his alibi. And then he just thinks, well, why not drive back? Why not drive back and tell his parents about the story of hiking and camping on his own, while Gabby was working on her website when someone else came and killed her. He could then tell them that in his panic, well, his mind has to be moving 1,000,000 miles a minute. Well, in his panic, he drove straight home to them. And they hear his story. His parents hear his story, and they believe him. You see, parents want to believe their children. They do not want to think that their child would be capable of doing such a thing. So what do? They get him a lawyer. All of them thinking that the alibi that he tried out on the hitchhikers when he was hitchhiking, the ladies who picked him up, the alibi he tried then, the alibi that he was camping alone, hiking alone, while Gabby worked on her website, and then someone else came and murdered Gabby. That would be the story. But then the lawyer told them what most lawyers will tell anyone. Told them to be quiet. Do not say a thing. The only way to survive is to use your right to stay silent. You see, they did not realize, and Brian did not know how his conscientious guilt would look if he told the story. You see, if that was true that she was killed while he was away, why would you take the van and drive all the way home without alerting authorities right away? You see, my friend, that was Brian's hole in his alibi. His panic clouded his thinking. He did what he probably did whenever he was in trouble. He ran home to Mom and Dad. He did not even have the strength to face authorities with his made-up alibi. You see, the hitchhikers, well, they were the way to establish that alibi. So when else do you ever hear of Brian hitchhiking? And remember, he was so quick to tell both of them that he was out hiking and camping while Gabby was at the van campsite all alone. Yet even during the hitchhiking, well, that conscientious guilt, it caused him to appear guilty and look strange to those who picked him up. So Brian comes back home. His parents keep them by their side. They go on their weekend camping trip, and upon the advice of the attorney, they do not talk about Gabby when his sister joined them on the camping trip. Remember, she said they did not even discuss Gabby or anything about that. So then Gabby's family reports her missing. and the whole world begins to judge Brian Laundrie. And the alibi that he thought would hold up, the alibi that he thought that would work, well, in his mind it became more unbelievable every day. He's convinced that his alibi he cooked up will not work, so he gets his backpack, leaves his wallet and phone behind, drives to the environmental park, walks into the woods to never return again. You see, this is my theory. She died at his hands on the 27th of August, the same day of the incident at the restaurant. Hey, one other thing. I've read reports that her phone was turned off on that day, which again reinforces the timeline for her death. So on August the 27th, sometime after the restaurant episode, Gabby Petito dies at the hands of her boyfriend-fiancé by strangulation. He tries unsuccessfully to construct an alibi, only himself to die, more than likely by his own hands, as he comes to the conclusion that his alibi will not hold up. Now we know that a notebook was left behind. If it is salvageable, and we have been told that it is, but if it is salvageable, what will it say? Will he try to justify his actions? Will he leave the alibi that I believe he had put together in his head? Will he confess? Is there a suicide note? Well, we may never know, or maybe we will. However, one thing we do know, and that is that domestic violence, well, it's a part of over 50% of missing person cases, and it's real, and it's dangerous, and it's deadly. You see, we can all honor this beautiful young lady by doing what we can to stop domestic violence. Teach our kids to avoid it and what to do if they find themselves in a domestic violence situation. Now remember, my friend, the most dangerous time is when you want to escape it. That is perhaps what happened to Gabby. So we need to teach them that to escape it, they do not need to try it alone. They need to get help. They need to get protection. They need to contact the authorities. They need to let somebody help them put together a plan of safety that will keep them protected. Well, this episode has an answer onto how I believe and when I believe, allegedly, that Gabby died at the hands of Brian Laundrie on August the 27th, 2021. So until this time next time, this is Charlie Crimebuster reminding you, be safe, be alert. For the life you save, well, it may be your very own.